Okay, well, so I want to reshare some more information and go back to the Star Trail video that I had taken from the 10th. Because, I have dozens of these Star Trail videos. I've never seen anything like this in any of mine. And when I've researched a little bit of information on it, there's some interesting theories on what's going on here. But I mean, common sense would tell you the camera is picking up all of those lights in the sky, spinning around, right? And then some of them go out, some of them go dark. The camera's still picking up all of the other stuff going on and the other lights. Why would these ones short out? What would cause all of these lights in the sky to black out for several seconds in different increments here? This kind of looks like it could be part of a pattern of some kind, because if you look right here at this part, and let me go to the still image of that. If we look a little bit closer at this, you can see there's like a drawn out part right here where something just kind of dimmed the light down and it stretched it out and then it blacked it out, blinked back on, blacked it out. And then you got another little tail going on there where it stretched it out like something was just kind of dimming it a little bit, disrupting it. That's why I put that video up called Starlights Are Disrupted, because something disrupted them. Something caused all of these lights up by Polaris and in the northern sky, pointed the camera towards the north. Something caused them to black out. And there was something kind of interesting that popped into this one here. And this was from, I think this was just a couple nights ago. Yeah. May 15th. This was a time lapse that I had taken of the star trails, looking in the same direction. There's Polaris right in the middle. And then something pops out up here on the top right. You can see it appear right there. I'm not really exactly sure what that is. Um, when I took out the still frame from it and zoom in on it a little bit, it's a kind of a curious looking little light there that appears, because you can't really see it in this. And I'll have to go through, I'll show you. If I go through the image itself and adjust a little bit, like expose it a little bit and brighten it up a little bit, other lines and other lights will pop out. You can see right here, there's a couple little trails right here going through. And now those are planes. Those are airplanes. Those are how airplanes show up on these Star Trail videos. And there's another one that comes across right here. You can see it's like a dotted line right there. And when you brighten it up, you see a lot of the other lights that the camera had captured. But in the original, let me reset it here. You can't really see a lot of that stuff. So I got to go through and brighten it up and expose it a little bit more. And those little dotted lines show up. These are the airplanes that go over and high above. Same thing with this dotted line here. But this, I don't know what that is. That's the first time I've ever seen anything like that in any of my, time lapse captures too. So that was just from a couple nights ago when that appeared up there. But, you know, as far as this disruption happening, I have my own theory and what I think put it out, but it's not a popular opinion, because a lot of people would like to believe that it's, things like this are caused from solar flares and solar activity and different things like that. And I just, you know, it's interesting to me that Geophysical Institute from the University of Alaska would put out this article on the 14th, just a few days ago, talking about NASA's sounding rocket program. Okay. And there's been a video put up on YouTube from the Geophysical Institute, UAF official. Okay. And it's sad. It's only got 57 views. Right. And this is talking about their Poker Flat solar flare campaign. And I'll play a little bit of it for you. But there's something kind of curious that I just find interesting. And I want y'all to document it along with me as I'm documenting it and sharing it with you. Take note of the fact in this article where they're talking about their sounding rocket program, and they talk it all up, all these paragraphs just talking up the program. And these two chicks really talk it up real good in this video too, just pushing their sounding rocket program. Something that I found interesting is that they talked about both of the rockets, the High C and the Foxy, High C and Fox Psi, that were launched. They're very proud of the program, and it was the last of their launches. So it was very convenient that they had these solar flares to test their instruments and to test their stuff. But something I find really curious is that the article talks about those two launches, right? And then here near the end of it, they mention something very curious. The following day saw the launch of the beam plasma interactions experiment. Now, what is the beam plasma interactions experiment, you might ask? Well, we can go right to NASA's Wallops website, and they give us a description of what the beam dash plasma interactions experiment, or beam pi, is. The purpose of the beam pi experiment is to use an electron beam to generate VLF radio waves. detect the resulting radio waves using electric field antennas on a separate receiver payload, and to measure ambient plasma conditions and dependence of waves on those conditions. This mission also intends to measure possible effects of the waves on local plasma electrons and detect the effects of the beam on the atmosphere using optical and radar measurements. Okay. Well, on their website here, where they're talking about this program they're so proud of and that they've invested so much time and money into, the last launch they have listed, they haven't updated it. The last launch still lists the one from November 9th of last year when people observed auroras in the skies as well. And of course, there's no photos. Why would there not be any photos of this launch? Okay. I think we need to demand a little bit more for our money, folks. We need a few more receipts, NASA. Can we get a few more receipts? Oh, I guess I probably should plug the laptop in. Can we get some more receipts on your sounding rocket program? And can you update it with the most recent launch? Because according to this article that was put out on the 14th, the following day after these two rockets were launched from the Poker Flat Research Range, the following day saw the launch of the beam/plasma interactions experiment, which involved generation of very low frequency radio waves using a pulsed electron beam. The goal was to cause charged particles to rain down from space along Earth's magnetic field lines and into the upper atmosphere. And what did we just witness? We witnessed this phenomenal event that occurred that produced all of these brilliant and bright auroras that extended all the way down to the south, farther than our known recognizable history, right? And then let's read the next sentence, which I think is probably more to the point of me making this video. It is one idea for cleaning near Earth space after a nuclear detonation at the edge of the planet's atmosphere. The cleanup would make space safer for satellites. The mission had a failure in one payload component, however. I already read this part where the electron beam was not being controlled as intended. The beam accelerator itself and the mission's other components appear to have worked as designed, but a filter intended to allow a narrow beam of energies to be injected into space appears to have failed. So they put out this article announcing their launches for their Poker Flat Solar Flare campaign, where they brag and boast about it. I'll play a little bit of this.
The folks and the people here at the range have similarly been putting in a lot of work to enable the first solar sounding rocket campaign. It's not a thing that has happened before, so we've had to figure out how to do a lot of things for the first time.
This is the first time we're able to use our sounding rockets to get data during a solar flare.
Well, again, because I'm repetitive, I have to say it again. How convenient that y'all got your solar flares. And
this is to test instrumentation that is optimized for solar flare conditions. And this is something that we've never been able to do before, so this is really exciting.
You don't say. You've never been able to do this before, so it's very exciting. It's so exciting that we put out this video and we want everybody to know about it, but it's only had 57 views in the last 2 days.
It's a first ever attempt.
A solar flare is a very bright burst of light from the sun, and it's caused by a huge release of magnetic energy. Some of that energy can be directed our way towards the Earth and the near-Earth environment. So we'd like to understand how that happens. And the observations that we'll make with this rocket will help us understand what kicks off that energy release and what happens to that energy.
And what's even more exciting for this campaign is that we are launching 2 solar rockets together. That's the plan.
2 together.
So Foxy would launch, and then we have a 60-second window to launch High C, and this has never been done before.
Huge amount of work that has been there's a huge amount of work that has been put in to get us to the point where we're here at the range ready to launch this thing. I know we've got a lot more work to do, but we're here, we're ready to go, and all we need now is a big solar flare.
You don't say.
A big solar flare. Now is a big solar flare. We're ready to go, and all we need now is a big solar flare.
How incredibly convenient that you got your solar flares. And how interesting is it that in this article they talk about the two launches, but they don't really mention too much aside from just this one paragraph. How day saw the launch of the beam/plasma interactions experiment, which involved generation of very low frequency radio waves using a pulsed electron beam. The goal was to cause charged particles to rain down from space onto everybody down here at ground level, along Earth's magnetic field lines and into the upper atmosphere. Yeah, it's going up and out, right? It is one idea for cleaning near Earth space after a nuclear detonation at the edge of the planet's atmosphere. Folks, we're not being told exactly what's going on out there, okay? And while I think that these solar flares and all of this activity going on is very grand information, I just find it a little bit bothersome that it would appear that the majority of the population is observing this and then ob- making the assumption, and I'm saying that with confidence, they are making the assumption that it's coming from the sun and that the sun is causing this. When I believe, and this again is just my opinion, that it is being influenced by man. And the sun is just very convenient because, like I said, because I'm repetitive, how incredibly convenient with the timing it and everything involved with launching these rockets and doing these campaigns, this poker flat solar flare campaign. How incredibly convenient is it that they just happen to have some of the biggest, quote, and I'm doing air quotes, okay? You can't see them, but I'm doing air quotes, solar flares. How convenient they get their big solar flares, right?
And all we need now is a big solar flare.
Yeah. How about you update your program information on your sounding rockets program, NASA? How about you update it with some photos? And how about you update it with your latest launch that you just did within the last few weeks? Because your article here says that you did. The article that was put out from the Geophysical Institute, the University of Alaska, says that there was another launch aside from those two sounding rocket launches that involved a beam plasma interactions experiment. Where's the y'all gonna? You think that your news agents and the media and all of those helio folks are going to want this kind of information broadcast out to the public? Do you think they really want too many people to see these types of videos? Apparently not, because only 57 views. Let's see if they've gotten more views. Come on, update. Nope, still counting 57 views. No likes, no comments. Like she says, this has never been done before. You would think this would make news. You would think this would be big time news to be putting out there to the people that, like, never in history have they ever launched two of them. Never in history have they ever launched them during the daytime. And never in history have they ever had so many people involved and relied so much on a big solar flare to complete their program. There's no coincidences. And, you know, people can try to explain this type of a capture off however they want, but it, the camera doesn't lie. The camera was observing these lights in the sky, clearly visible for several minutes, and then they blacked out, and then they came back on, and then they blacked out, came back on, blacked out, came back on, blacked out, came back on, blacked out, on, off, on. Would anybody even notice if a third of the stars blacked out in the sky? Just asking for a friend. Stay mindful, folks, because these things going on and the main narratives and stuff surrounding all of this extra activity and all of this additional frequency pollution we have going on in our environment right now, they're not giving us the whole full story. They're just not. And for whatever reasons, I think we should be paying attention to some of this other stuff going on, because it has the potential to be very detrimental to our environment. And when we're allowing them to do these projects and these things like this that they've never done before, I guarantee you it's producing results and things that we've never seen before. And what's happening in the South right now. And now I'm going to get a little bit choked up because I'm pissed off at a certain level, because we're seeing all of this shit going on with this extreme weather in the South, throughout Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana areas. We're seeing some of the effects of some of this shit. And it's really shitty that people have died and people are losing their livelihoods and everything that they've worked for. Why? And when you really think about the bigger picture, folks, a lot of these cities and these towns and these counties and these different states have been given directives by people in very powerful positions that they better upgrade their buildings and they better upgrade their construction standards, because shit's going to start really hitting the fan even more than ever before. And why? Because they're fucking poking Mother Nature in the gut. And Mother Nature is responding in kind. And in some instances, kindlier. If you know what I mean. They're poking it. And it's responding. And this is the effects of what we get. And now the news coming out from Mount Charleston out here in the West, talking about, well, there's still recovering from flash flooding going on up there in Mount Charleston. Well, no shit, Sherlock. You're going to continue to deal with that kind of shit as long as you allow California to continue with their weather modification programs and their programs that directly influence that atmospheric river that comes this way. I mean, come on, people. When are more people going to wake up? There's already several states on board in banning weather modification and geoengineering projects and stuff over their state. When are we all really going to get on the same page when it comes to this shit? When are we going to tell them to stop poking Mother Nature in the gut? Stop poking her, him, it, them, they, zer, z, whatever fucking pronoun Mother Nature might identify as. I mean, fuck. Come on. How many more people are going to have to die? How many more people are going to have to suffer and lose everything that they own and not be able to recover? Because I guarantee you, in those bigger cities and things where bigger buildings and these other properties that are owned by people that have a shit ton of money are going to recover just fine. And it's not going to be because they have a shit ton of money and they can afford to fix it. It's going to be because the area where their property was located in was declared a disaster zone and an emergency was declared, and a shit ton of federal taxpayer dollars will be given to them to rebuild back better. That's another aspect of this that I could spend a whole nother hour in a video of showing you all of the information that would suggest that some of these things are intentional, because they've been given directives to upgrade their construction standards to be able to withstand the forces that they are bringing upon us by poking Mother Nature in the fucking gut. And they'll recover because they will qualify for emergency funding and repairs. And guess what? Their property will be upgraded and built back better on taxpayer dime. But I have got to digress or my fucking head is going to explode right now, y'all. Just stay mindful because things are not what they say. No more people should be dying because of this shit going on. Enough is enough. And I really would like to have some explanation for why some of these stars in the northern skies blacked out back on the 10th, just a week ago. And I want to know why NASA hasn't updated their Bean Pie experiment page to include their recent launch that they confessed about through the Geophysical Institute during their solar flare campaign experiment. Oy. Stay safe and mindful, folks. Know that I really, truly appreciate you and that you matter very much to me.